Welcome to Lesson 2. Here we're going to help you get down to a more granular level in hopes of giving you a more effective and efficient way to break down your projects into doable tasks. Now before we do that, you should go to the newstraining.org site page for this particular course and download the 2 templates associated with this lesson. Those are the project template and the to-do list template. Before we get started though, I'd like to give you a brief history of time management. Why do we do things the way that we do things? Splitting up tasks into parts seems so natural now that it's hard to imagine that there was a time when we didn't do it. But as you do this course, it's worth remembering that division of labor and breaking tasks down into logical, doable parts was an idea that we had to think up. It's an idea that's part of the background fabric of human endeavor, and it's something that you and I are going to bring to the foreground as a way to get us closer to our goals and take back control of our time. You've downloaded your exercise templates, right? Take this one, your core project template, and make sure it's nearby. You'll be writing on it soon. Division of labor isn't new. Even when these ancient Sumerians were dividing things up into people doing agriculture, people trading, and people sitting around looking like middle management, the idea wasn't new then. But new versions of the idea really took off during the industrial era. The most notable pioneer of these ideas was this guy, Frederick Winslow Taylor, the father of scientific management. Born near Philadelphia in 1856, his work gave rise to the modern moving production line. Now, if you look at these factory production lines or your own seemingly endless to-do list and shudder, you're not alone. After Taylor and his crew of time and motion men visited a Watertown, Massachusetts munitions plant with their stopwatches and clipboards, a bloody strike erupted in 1911. Bills were submitted to both houses of Congress to ban the use of stopwatches to time workers at federal facilities. But our purpose today is not to put anyone else in charge of your work. We're here to put you back in charge of your work. Are you ready? Now that you've downloaded your project templates, we're going to do an exercise where you break a project into tasks. First things, you want to fill out a project sheet. If for any reason you don't have a printer handy, a simple pen and a piece of paper will work for this. Just start out by putting the title of your project at the top of the page and put the date next to it. Now, write down every single thing you can think of, no matter how small, that has to happen in order for the project to be completed. Put that sheet aside, but keep it nearby. You're going to need it for your next part of your exercise, and that's identifying and handling the time wasters. Look down the list that you've just put through. Are there any things on it that it's really not clear to you how they're going to be done? Are they really yours to do? Do you need someone else's cooperation or information from them and you don't know what they are? Put a check mark or a star next to those items, and then you can move on to the next part of this exercise. Take your list and create a to-do list. Now this is very important. The project list that you just created is not a to-do list. And that's because a lot of the items on your project list are not doable simply because of dependencies. For instance, if I had a project sheet describing a project where I was, let's take a personal project. Let's say that I wanted to plant a container garden. And I would have tasks on it like plant seedlings, buy containers, buy potting soil. But for instance, I couldn't do plant seedlings until I had bought the potting soil and the containers. So on my to-do list would only go things I can actually do at the current moment. Scan down your project list and say, which of these items that are on this project list are things that I can actually do now? Take those out and put them into your to-do list. Then go back to your time wasters, the ones where you don't really know how to do it, you need more information, it's someone else's to do, you need someone else's cooperation. Those are also tasks. They just might not be written in a way that makes them doable. So for instance, if I had a task where I can only do this task if I get information from a coworker, well, that's an item. Email coworker for information. Put that on your to-do list. But make sure that you write things on your project sheets and on your to-do list that are actually doable. Don't include things that say that you have to accomplish X, Y, Z, but don't include the things that you need to do that. Now the bonus here is if you wish, you now have a to-do list at the end of this project. If you wish, you may find that you are more effective if you do what's called context bucketing. These are recommended by a few major time management regimes, including Getting Things Done, the book of which I recommend very highly, by the way, and I do this myself. And context bucketing means splitting up your to-do list into where and how you do it. So if you'd like to try this out and see if it works for you, take a look at the to-do list you just made. Say, well, how many of these are email? How many of these are computer? How many of these do I have to do on the phone? How many of them are my office or an errand? Break them into context-specific to-do lists. So you might have a list of just emails, a list of just phone calls, a list of just things you have to do on your computer, a list of just errands. Okay, that's it for this particular lesson. When you're done with this particular exercise, you'll be ready to go on to Lesson 3.